Hello,
Oh, hello.
I'm Sammy,
And I'm Steve.
and you're listening to Rose Plate Special, the most dramatic, tandem bikingist, hallmark movingist, uh, green flaggingist recap podcast of The Bachelor ever.
Ever.
And I'm reporting to you live from my Airbnb's dining room.
Of course. That's where you
Very
should be.
exciting. Yeah, very exciting stuff. I don't know. I feel like it's a staycation because I'm not really going many places and I'm just
Hmm.
basically getting as much work done as humanly possible. But also trying to have fun. So I am trying to do that. Are you familiar with the Ice Age Trail?
I'm not. I'm familiar with the Ice Age franchise of animated films.
Oh, it's basically the same thing. So you're
Okay, I
almost
figured.
there.
Yeah.
Um, so the Ice Age Trail is a 1,200-mile trail throughout the state of Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And you're going to walk the whole thing.
yes, the goal is for me to walk the whole thing, not in one go. Like there are people who do that. There are people who just plan like a 6-month trip and they walk all the way through
Oh,
the Ice
yeah.
Age Trail.
I am familiar with these people. There's people who do that in Apple, the mountains on the East Coast part of the
Yeah, I think
country. Yeah,
I
they do
think
that too.
most people out there say Appalachia. So I think
Appalachia. There you
you're
go.
right the first time, but I could be wrong. Well, yeah, and there's like, the Camino, like Santiago de Compostela, like that
Hmm.
goes from France to Spain.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Susan's
there's
done that one. They've covered
really,
a
I want
long
to
ass
do that.
time.
That's so cool. I'll have to talk to her about it because
You
that's on
do.
my list. Yeah,
It's amazing. She was like totally floored. I think that's probably the best trip she's ever taken. So,
that's so cool. Yeah, this is kind of so what my thought was is like not that I'm doing this all in one go, but some listeners may know that I do 50-mile walks. And so I'm like, well, I could do 10 to 15 a day. That's like no
yeah,
problem.
sure.
But right now what I'm trying to do is just kind of chip away at this a bit by bit. So my goal is every time I'm like go away, but I'm still in the state, I'm going to try to stay somewhere near some trails and at least knock some segments off the list. Um, so I finished my first 3.5 mile. And the other thing is like I have to, if I don't have anyone with me, I've got to just walk back. So it's like I'll be walking twice that distance, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta walk there and then back to my car. But I walked like probably the most boring first leg of the journey I could have picked because it was like a connector between one interesting area and another interesting area. So it's just like farm fields and dirt roads and whatever. But the start of it was like a really pretty river. And so I'm just trying to take that as a win. But I am trying to like get out. Like my goal is to tomorrow, like do another leg. So at least I'll have finished like 7 or 8 miles of the 1,200 I'll eventually need to do.
Jeez.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Just you gotta
You know,
one little step at a time. That's what matters.
yeah, I mean, that really is what it's about. And, it's just like the journey to finding your love on The
Wow.
Bachelor. It's just
Wow.
one little step at a time.
Or the journey to finding a conversation transition on your podcast. They're
Yeah,
very similar.
they're very similar. And wow, what a cold open. I mean, it's so interesting because they really, it's like they just want to sell Maria and her whole family as like this hardened, controversial family. And they can't do it successfully because everybody is so nice.
No,
It's
it
just like,
it absolutely rules. And I love how they play like Don Corleone, like Godfather music every
yeah,
time Maria's dad is on TV. Uh, Maria's dad absolutely rules. He looks like
yes.
a guy who like played in a hair metal band in
Mhm.
1987, and then he just kind of like found his way into business after that. Uh,
Yes.
Also, remember when we were trying to discuss, I was like, I think she's Italian because of this. You're like, I think she's Greek. And then we find out on this episode, she's Greek Italian.
Are you
Yes,
are you sure? Because I thought he was talking
100%.
about Joey being Italian.
Oh, I know. I thought he said that he was Italian because it's like, oh, we're Greek, we're Italian.
Oh, okay. Because I heard him say like the big fat Greek Italian wedding, and I thought he was saying like, because Joey, you're Italian and we're Greek, but maybe they're
Oh,
Greek Italian. I know at the very least they're Greek.
yeah. We got at least you're right, but we're gonna say for now until someone tells
You
me
can
I'm
also
wrong,
be right.
I will be right. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm questioning it, but it could have been when I was like battling with the rice cooker that's here. I really love, by the way, this is like a fairly bare bones. Well, it's not that bare bones. It's an old obviously if you can hear the echo, you can tell it's kind of echoey.
Hmm.
Um, but so there's like not a lot in this room in particular. And it's like an 1800s house. It's got like the old timey light switches and stuff, like the ones where you just like press a button for on and press a different button
Ooh,
for
it's like
off,
you're
you
in
know?
Europe.
It's pretty fun. But then that also made it hard for me to find an outlet that would work for the rice cooker. And like the door didn't quite close, and the owners had to come over and like fix it. They were really cool about it. But like I was just like, oh no. I'm sleeping amazing. This is one of the best like strange house sleeps I've ever had. Um, but yeah, it's always so interesting like what appliances Airbnbs will have or not have. And this
Hmm.
place has like I'm like, wow, you have a blender and a rice cooker and a grater and oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the name? A app like a peeler, vegetable peeler. I'm like, those are like optional. You never see that kind of stuff. So I'm like living large right now, honestly. Pretty
Hmm.
happy about it. Okay, so one thing that I'm seeing on Maria's, because she's got an IMDb page, as do I,
Hmm.
and oh my God, it's so funny. The Bachelor has a 3.2 on IMDb. That's lower than I remember.
Boo. Everything
Sorry.
on IMDb has like a shitty review. Like every single movie. If you go to Citizen Kane right now, it's like 7.1. Like everything is between it's like I don't know, like Pitchfork music reviews circa like 2009 where every single review was somewhere between like a 6.7 and a 7.8 and that's just the range that music
Yeah.
exists in.
Yeah, sure. Like, it's just so weird. Anyway, so she was in The Pacifier. So that's interesting.
I did
That's
not
really
know
her
that.
only like real credit because she was also on Good Morning
With Vin
America and The
Diesel?
Bachelor.
The pacifier with Vin Diesel?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Apparently, she was Firefly number one.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, wait. So someone said, yeah, this says, okay, however you pronounce her last name, is it Gorgas? I don't know. Or Georgus?
How about just
Georgus?
gorgeous?
Yeah, gorgeous. Um,
Georgious.
I mean, that's a Greek name and it means farmer or earth worker, not gorgeous.
Mm.
But anyway, so okay, so we start in New Orleans though, and we're on Kelsey's date, and and we didn't have a tandem bike yet. So we obviously needed a tandem bike at some point. That's just
Of
important,
course.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, like, honestly, I don't have a lot to say about any of these dates. I'm going to be really honest with you. Um, but like, she's nervous, scared, she's all in. A second line comes because that's a contractual obligation when you're in New Orleans. There has to be a second line. And then we go to her house. And I mean, okay, I'm having a really hard time with Kelsey just because of her cop family. And maybe that's like on me.
Mm.
But I'm just having
Yeah.
like a hard time being like enthralled with any of it. But I also think she's just like very obviously his number one pick.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it. And then
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's like cop family's one thing, but then also it's just like, I don't know, her mom died and then her dad like was sad and it was all very emotional. These are like all of these hometowns, like obviously someone gets cut here, but there's no like extreme hometown drama at all. And I feel like it's been a little
Yeah.
while since we've had some juicy hometown drama. These were all very wholesome and normal.
Well, the two that would have been a little more interesting were the hometowns we didn't get to see because it
Mhm.
sounds like Jen or Kelsey T might have been more. yeah, it might have been more tense. Like Kelsey
A little
T,
spicier.
you could have run into like a Dean's dad type of situation there,
Hmm.
but like
Yeah.
in a different vein, different kind of religion.
Hmm.
And then yeah, with Jen, I don't know. I don't know. It probably wouldn't have been as bad as Jen was making it sound. Just like I feel like Rachel kind of set hers up like it was going to be tough, and it was definitely the toughest date, the toughest hometown to like win people over.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't like the worst either. But anything to say, any thoughts about Kelsey's date? I really just don't have a lot to say. It was just like it went really well. Everybody loved him. There was crying. It worked out. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it was completely fine. Like she's like, I like her so much, and he's like, I like her so much. And yeah, it was very,
Well,
very wholesome and
okay.
nice
Yeah.
and emotional. And there's nothing The Bachelor likes more than going to New Orleans. They're there every other day, it seems like. So everyone was happy. Production was probably happy. It was a grand old time. Not a lot to say, not a lot of juicy tidbits other than it seems like Kelsey is still number one. So I don't
Yeah.
think like as far as the power rankings go, I don't think there's a massive shakeup here that is really obvious. So,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so then okay, so then we go to Rachel's kind of hometown, not really hometown, of
mhm.
Rancho Cucamonga,
Yeah, shout out
California.
Rancho.
Hey, yeah, whatever. And yeah, so this was like a fun group to meet. I think it was like warm welcome, lots of like games and like ceremony and things like that. And I don't know, was that her grandpa who started talking about like colonization? I was like, hell yeah, whoever that was.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Like
Yeah,
there's a pig roast and there's just I mean you got the Filipino stuff and the Hawaiian stuff going on. There's a lot of culture that Joey is being
it's
immersed in.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nice.
and
Again,
yeah, what?
not something you always see. Like I'm
No.
used to usually on a season of The Bachelor, you get at least three. Like, oh, here's a McMansion, and my sister's crying, and she's like, I've always wanted a brother, and now I'm gonna have one. So, yeah, this is a little more interesting, but again, too wholesome for me. I
Oh, everyone's too nice. I hate it. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Whoever said that, they were like, "Well, this was a game that like we learned when the Spanish colonized." I was like, "Whoever that is cool." And but yeah, I mean, everything goes well. One thing Joey, did right and was impressive was he like did that greeting or like brought the hand up to his face or his head or whatever, his forehead, right?
Mhm.
Um, and his whole family or her whole family was like, "Oh my god, like, he did the thing." So that was very cute. And I mean, I don't know, Rachel's my favorite like of the women that are left, and she's just like so genuine and sweet. And it was interesting, like her dad was pretty much on board, but her mom was very like guarded and upset. But I wrote down that she was pure gold because I do feel like she's pure gold. um and we haven't heard what Rachel's been through specifically, right? Like I
Mhm.
didn't miss
No.
it, right? They're just like
No.
she's been through so much and I'm like, "What was it? What happened to
Could you
her?"
tell me? Because I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that we'll hear about it next week because that's the time to share that kind of stuff like whatever she's been through. But her family is very protective. Like I'm just like, who hurt you? Who effed you over? It must have been really bad. And I mean, her dad, I think, again, gave like a very reasonable response. He was just like, if it gets to the point where you need my blessing, call me,
Mhm.
okay? And I also really appreciate that Joey was like, um, I'm not going to say that I'm in love with anybody
Yeah.
because I think it's fucking weird to do that. And I was
Totally.
like, thanks for saying what we've all been thinking, Joey. Um,
Mhm.
Again, another green flag you have been awarded.
Yep.
Um,
Good job being a
he's like,
normal dude.
he's like, I just don't really think that makes sense. I just like it's kind of weird. So I'm not gonna say it. Although I do think um when Rachel said like falling to falling in love. And he was like, I'm happy to hear that. That just kind of felt like a, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Gary answer, oh, that's so
That's
nice.
so nice, but then I don't know. I always think about this too, and maybe at some point someone will get it right, and I'm just gonna write it down so I remember. It's entirely possible that someone's done a good version of this before, but like, what do you say when you're dating four women and you are in love slash falling in love with them, and they say "I love you"? Like, what is the proper response?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've just never been in that situation, oddly enough. Yeah, it's like that it is weird. I'm not saying it's not weird.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's
yeah, I
not even
yeah,
like a thing where it's, "Oh, I'm not there yet," or whatever, or blah, 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 or I that freaks me out," or because normally it just goes that way, right? Like, it's either gonna go well or it's not gonna go well. Here, it's like he could be completely head over heels in love with one of these women, and he because of the situation, because of the show, he can't express how he's feeling. And I don't think
right.
that there is a one-to-one for that in real life. So yeah, I don't know what the proper response
Hmm.
to a woman saying I love you or I'm falling in love with you is on this show other than,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that's cool."
that's cool. Well, what I'm saying is was at least one other woman where he said, I feel the same way.
Mm,
He said that
mm,
to Daisy.
yes.
I don't remember what happened with him and Kelsey. I didn't write it down.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Um, but yeah, but Rachel said she went from falling to falling in love, and he said he's happy to hear that. And obviously, she sticks around for another week. Um, I don't know if she's going to be in the final two, though, unless something really goes sideways, which this we need to talk thing, who knows what that's about.
I have
But
no
yeah,
idea. And I gotta tell
yeah,
you, literally from week 1, I believe my constant refrain has been, "Yeah, Rachel seems fun. I don't think she's gonna get very far." I have been putting her at the
I
bottom
have
of my
been
power
putting her
rankings.
quite high this whole time. So everyone, just remember that. Just remember that.
This is the first week, I mean, a little bit last week too, but really the last 2 weeks is where I've really seen something from Joey where I'm like, "Okay, this could be more," but I I just don't know. So, despite what my gut has been telling me this entire time, apparently I need to put all my money on Rachel at the end because I've been sleeping on her the whole time. So,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I mean, who know well, some people probably know. We don't know. But think about like that Sean and Catherine season. I think about that all the time
mhm,
because it was like she came out of nowhere.
yeah,
And it was like, wait, you're super interested in Catherine? Like, I mean, I think she's cool, but I didn't think you thought she was cool, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And then even to the point where, like, I think they talked about it in Bachelor Nation, where he was like the night before and he's like, I have a few more questions for you. And he like went over and like confirmed a few things and she's like, "Are you for real? Like what are you doing?" Cuz he just like really wanted to make like double, triple sure, but it was kind of one of those things where we barely saw her the first half of the season. And when you'd see her, he would say stuff like, "I have a lot of fun with her." It was very like funny, giggly, lighthearted relationship for the most part. And then it
Mhm,
was just like, I'm all in, And I mean, they're married, they have kids, they've been together for a long time, who knows? Um, so I always think about that. Like, you just never know uh, how they might choose to edit the season and what might
mhm.
surprise you in the end. Like, I think about how, like, Michelle a couple seasons ago, everyone was like, "Oh, she's so funny," and we like didn't see her be funny until her own season, really, and in
Mhm.
bloopers. And they were like, "Oh, she's just like the funniest person in the house," And I'm like,
You're like,
"Okay, if you
"What?
say so."
Sure."
Like, I don't see it. So who knows? Who knows about that?
Mhm.
But I just thought that response was interesting because then we go to Daisy State in Becker, Minnesota. And yeah, okay, I've mentioned that there are Hallmark movies based on my town.
Oh
This
yeah.
was basically that. They were like, we're gonna make this a Hallmark movie, and we're just gonna have like this little Christmas town thing when it's clearly like October or something.
Mhm.
Um, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
Yeah.
this whole thing is ridiculous. Also, production has been salivating ever since they cast Daisy on the show just so they could do this. Like, this is what they wanted. They wanted the Hallmark thing.
It's
Uh,
just weird because they could do like Christian Girl Autumn though.
mhm.
Why did I
Yeah.
mean, I understand it's a Christmas tree farm. Like I'm not, you know, like I'm not ignorant, okay? But it's just like weird. It's just a
Mhm.
weird day. And then like all her friends show up and which was a sweet part and she's like crying. But oh my god, the bar is in hell. The bar is in hell because she's
Mhm.
crying and she's like, "Joey accepts me for my cochlear implant." And I'm like, "Any man should. Any man worth
Yeah,
anything
could
should."
you imagine, like, I'm trying to think of a scenario where I have a friend and they're dating Daisy. They're dating a woman. It's just like, oh, she's gorgeous and she's kind and she's funny and she's so nice and she's just got this whole wholesome thing. And then they're like, wow, we broke up. I go, oh, what happened? He goes, well, cochlear implants. How
Yeah,
is that your non-negotiable?
I don't know.
What kind of a weird fucking monster are you? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird. Um, but yeah, like oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, there's like all of these relationship tests that are like going on TikTok right now. You know,
Mhm.
where it's like, "Will you peel an orange for me?" You know, and a couple years ago, I was like, "Would you love me if I was a worm?"
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, oh god, I'm trying to think of the other. Oh god, there was another one. And now for some reason I can't think of that and I can just think of this is not a relationship test, but I want to do this to Chuck. You ask people how they would sell hot dogs at a stadium.
I saw is that a relationship thing where
No,
it's just
it's
like,
not a
"Yeah, hot
relationship.
dogs, get your hot dogs here." Like, that's
It just hit my brain. I no, it's not a relationship thing. But actually my favorite one of those, there was a guy who was like, this is what I would do. I would go up, I would say, you, row 2, seat 3, do you want a hot dog? Do you want I have one hot dog. Do you want and I would sell that and then I'd go to another section. I go, hey you, row 6, about halfway in, do you want a hot dog? I have one hot dog. And they're like, I would create demand that way, and it would be very personalized service. And I was like, that's amazing. No,
that's a lot of thought behind that.
yeah, it was really good. No, but I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head right now for some reason. But they're all just kind of like, let me make sure that the person I'm with is good or whatever. And I'm like, I honestly, if you feel like you have to, like, I've talked to Tuck about these. I'm like, yeah, there's this one where people will be like, yeah, can you peel an orange for me? He's like, why wouldn't someone peel an orange for someone else? That's like very easy to do.
You know, it's pretty simple, I'd say.
Yeah, he's like, "I would yes." And I'm like, yeah, it's just so I mean, what I'm saying is if you're like questioning, is the person I'm with gonna peel an orange for me? Is the person I'm with gonna accept me if I have a cochlear implant? Or like, let's be honest. If you're able-bodied, you're just like temporarily non-disabled, right? Like
Mhm.
at some point, something is going to happen. And yeah, if you're with someone who's like, I don't want to do that, it's like, ew, like, no thanks. But I'm glad that she sees her worth. I really wonder who the kind of men she was with that this is like a big deal. But Joey is a green flag, that is for sure. Like,
Mhm.
but he's really not doing anything that spectacular, is my point. He's just being
Nope.
a decent guy.
Fellas, the bar is low.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
Yeah, you can step over that. You should be able to step over that.
Yeah, it's pretty good, you know, like, honestly, fellas, this is it's a great time to be a mediocre man, both, in terms of looks and personality. and just general demeanor and how you treat humanity. Like there are beautiful women out there, 11 out of 10, who have schlubby boyfriends, and they're like, you know what? I love him. He's amazing. Did you know last week he held a door open for me? Like that's where the bar's at, guys.
Yeah.
You could do it. This is the best time. If you're a good person, you could shoot for the stars. Okay.
Yeah, just don't be a nice guy. Don't be a fake nice guy.
No, don't be a fake nice guy. You have to be
Let's
actually not
be
shitty. If you
actually nice.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
actually not shitty.
So
That's my
anyway,
advice to any man.
be actually not shitty and you will get to be in love with someone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so oh, this is a good time to mention. Have you ever looked at the Samsung TV channels? Did
Oh
you know
yeah.
that like Samsung TVs come with like a
Oh
hundreds
yeah.
of channels?
All of the like all the internet channels. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It basically mirrors because LG TVs have the same thing, but it basically mirrors like what you would find on say like Pluto TV or apps like that.
I need to look at LG. Now I have an LG and I didn't know I had this. But
Uh-huh.
apparently on Samsung, there is an entire channel just for Degrassi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Ma'am,
that's
I
all I've
have
been
some
watching.
exciting
That
news
is
for you.
all I've been watching. What?
If you're watching these I mean literally on LG it's 999 of these internet channels,
Shut
and
up.
I'm sure Samsung is the same, and
Why have I not looked at this?
Pluto is
Okay.
out there, but any show that you want, they have channels that are dedicated to like concepts like, oh, just reality shows. But then within that, you can watch whatever you want. Like there's a whole Jersey Shore channel. You can relive all the drama with Sammy and Ronnie anytime you want. It's great.
I had no idea because I mostly just watch like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, YouTube, and like Hulu. Like that's pretty much it. And like Sling when I want to watch like Bravo, you know.
Mhm.
But I'm super behind right now, and I'm like, God, I feel like it's just not worth it for me to have all these streaming paid services when I'm not really like watching a lot of TV, and I end up like watching I just like go to the library and pick out 4 random DVDs and go, let's see what the movie Extracurricular is about. By the way, it sucks. Don't watch it. But I was like, oh, let me see. I was trying to figure out if I could watch The Bachelor live here. I
Mhm.
was like, I wonder if they don't have an antenna. Okay, let me look through some of these free channels. But the trick is you can't watch The Bachelor on these free channels. Not as far as I could tell. I looked for it. I
Mhm.
looked through every single channel for 7 o'clock on Monday night. But yeah, they had a whole Degrassi channel, and that's all I've been
Ooh.
watching is Degrassi.
Yeah. That's
So that's
we're
been
we're in the
really
golden
exciting.
age of television. If your idea of the golden age of television is old shit that is syndicated and accessible.
Yeah,
That's
that is what I think, and when I think about golden age, I really do think about, old-timey Christmas tree farms and fake Green Day playing when they walk into Daisy's parents' house.
yeah.
I
It's
actually
great
don't
stuff.
have a lot to say about this. Like she's really positive, her family's very positive, everybody's into it, and Daisy does say falling in love.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
those are the things I have to say about that. Then we get to Maria's date, and they're in Niagara Falls. And here's the thing that's weird. Here's the whole thing that's weird about it. I mean, obviously, it was not meant to be, and that's fine because Maria's going to be our next bachelorette. Come on, she
Mhm.
has to be. She has to be.
She's
If she
amazing.
wants
She's
it.
America's sweetheart.
God, she'll be like the coolest bachelorette. Oh God, it'd be so awesome. We've had so many good ones, but she'll be like real good.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so here's the thing that I think is just so weird because I don't feel like it was confusing how she felt ever. I don't feel confused by that.
Mhm.
But Joey felt confused by that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I the funny thing is like you have these two people with chemistry, but also I think they both have like different brands of insecurity which may be incompatible with one another.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
Joey's constantly worried that he's going to choose someone that isn't going to choose him, and then Maria on the flip side of that is like I want you. Why do we have to do all this bullshit? Which is like
Yeah.
that's the classic Bachelor insecurity. And yeah, it's just it's not working. But they have this again, the chemistry, the connection. She's fun, she's cool, she's beautiful. He wants to choose her, I feel like, but she's constantly playing from behind, right? Like
Yeah.
all the crap in the first half of the season, and then all the stuff she's dealing with. But the good thing here is, you know, up until my girl kind of flubs the landing, she doesn't stick it at the end. This is a really solid hometown. You've got an overbearing family who is insisting that Joey eats more. Always fun. We love that. The
Yes.
dad is great. Just listening to the dad too when he's talking about Maria. He's like, Maria's never brought a guy home before. She's never hugged a man. I've never seen her within 20 feet of a man before. Now there's gonna be a man in my house. Like he's fully accepting of Joey. Everybody loves Joey. They watch the old home movies. Like it's all very nice. Even the start of this date, I'm like, damn, Maria, coming out of the gate hot. Hey, we're gonna go see this one of a kind, wondrous marvel in the world, Niagara Falls, and then we're gonna rip a shot on the Maid of the Mist, and then give each other smooches. That's a good way to start a hometown. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
I mean, yeah, here's the thing. Everything about the date was really good. And her family is really sweet. Her dad is amazing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he's like, I'm in. Like, this is great. Everything about this is great. And you have my blessing. And I
Oh,
thought he was gonna be hard to win over. He was like, absolutely. This shit's the best, you know? And he's just like, if you marry her, you're marrying us. And like, she's my angel. She's my everything. I love her. And anything that makes her happy, I want. She's my princess. She's my miracle, whatever.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it really goes so well. But I do think it's interesting because I agree with her family and I think it was her sister that said something like, I don't know if he's seeing the full you, you know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was also worried about that
Yep. Yep.
because I feel like she was being more vulnerable with her family, and with him, she was still being kind of like tough exterior. So I think that might
Mhm.
have not worked in her favor.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think that it is. You could tell she's still a little bit guarded, and this is something that came up with the other girls too. I think it popped up with Kelsey and it popped up with Daisy, where people were like, "Yeah, you gotta make sure that you're, being completely open and being who you are and not being too guarded." And I don't blame them because you gotta be on defense if you're on a show like this, but also if you wanna win, you can't be, and it's almost like a paradox, but yeah,
Yeah, you gotta
Maria
like
has been overly guarded, so, what are
yeah,
you
it's
gonna
like you
do?
gotta be measured with those responses and
Mhm.
and give out your vulnerabilities at like certain times. So,
Exactly, because like, Maria's dad was more vulnerable than she was, I feel like.
oh yeah, oh for sure.
Maria's
Yeah.
dad is like he's the kinda guy where he probably, like, threatened to shoot her prom date if he didn't get her home by 11 p.m., but also, like, if he just talks about Maria, he's just like, "At one time, we went to Tennessee, and we went to Mammoth Cave," and he probably just, like, sobs uncontrollably just talking about his kids, so, yeah, that's my favorite kind of, like, boomer dude is like toxic with the potential for violence, but also just emotionally the softest soft boy. I fucking love it. I love her dad. I want him to be my dad. If he needs another executive assistant, I am available. Just saying.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, no, anyway, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. He was very supportive. Everyone's crying. They show the home
Hmm.
movies. It was cute. It was a little creepy the way they were all looking through the windows, but whatever.
Oh yeah, they're all just like staring at him while they're like in the backyard.
Yeah, but
Powerful
her
stuff.
dad's still crying. I'm like, "Oh god." But Maria doesn't say that she like loves him or is falling in love with him or anything like that. So immediately she's like, "Uh-oh, I'm very worried about this.
Hmm.
Maybe that was an oopsie."
Hmm.
And so then they get to the rose ceremony. I what is it with these airplane hangers? They just like really want to do it.
I don't know. It's a lot. But yeah, like she literally leaves it at, she could have said, I'm in love with you, or I'm falling in love with you, or blah, 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 blah. But all she gives him is like, thanks, buddy. Means a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't
No.
great. No.
That's like what I would say to like a friend if they showed up at my birthday party or something. It's like, oh man, glad you can make it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, it wasn't great, but I also don't think that would have necessarily been the make or break, but she obviously thinks so.
No.
And I'm sure it's partially some producer got in her head and was like, "Well, listen, don't you want to make sure you leave everything, there's nothing like left unsaid. You want to leave it all out there, right? No regrets." And she was probably like, "Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I better." And so then she did it. Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was yeah. So then we get to the rose ceremony and she's like, "Joey, can I talk to you for a minute?" And it's like, "Whoa." And
Rachel's like, what the fuck do you got to talk to him about?
yeah, yeah, she's like, what the hell?" Um and then yeah, so then she goes and talks to him and she's like, "Well, anyway, I just wanted to tell you that like I love you and like I just would regret it if I didn't say that." And he's like, "Okay, thanks." And I'm like, ugh, like
Yep. It's like,
I'm
oh.
like, that's the end for you, Maria. And then she comes back and yeah, Rachel's like, "What was that about?" And Maria goes, "I don't know." She's like, "You don't know, but you went to go talk to her? What do you mean?" I was like, that was like the best. See, there's a reason I like Rachel so much. Like shit like this. She was just like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you don't
Mm-hmm.
know?" And she's like, it's something I had to do. I'll explain it to you someday. And she's like, okay. But
Sure
yeah,
thing.
we knew that Daisy and Kelsey were going to get roses. So it was like kind of obvious. And then, I felt pretty confident about saying Rachel was going to get through. I've been
Yeah.
saying that for a while now, and for the record, and she did. She
We
did.
do have a record. You are on a podcast
There
saying
is a
this.
record. You can, we're being recorded, right? We're being recorded, right? To
I
quote
thought I
the
was
great
just
Maria.
talking to you once a week. I didn't think it was.
Wouldn't that be so funny if we were
Wait,
just like
this isn't
talking?
just a phone call with a song
Uh oh,
where I
we're
introduce myself?
we're in a state where you have to know that.
Oh
Ugh,
no.
awkward. So anyway, but yeah, so hopefully Maria will be the next Bachelorette. It was, yeah, it was kind of an awkward goodbye too. I don't know.
Yeah, not great. No
Yeah.
smooch or like loving hug or anything. It was just like, because I mean, she knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. And I think the not saying I love you on the night, could it have turned it around? Could that hometown have turned it around? Maybe. Or maybe if like one of the other ones was disastrous, you could have shuffled some things. But honestly, what we were seeing, it was the symptom, not the disease. It's like everything that sank this, we saw it coming. We've seen it coming for weeks. Like Maria's ascent has been incredible to watch, but I don't think anyone thought that she's going to be the last girl standing because come on, like it's just you can't do it. She's too much, which is why she's going to be the next bachelorette, Lord willing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really a bummer. Oh, well, yeah. And so basically his reasoning was like, it would be dishonest for me to pick you based on the amount of doubts I had. Again, I don't see it. I don't think
Yeah.
any of us sees it. So it was just him. Um, and then we see this preview for the upcoming week or weeks with this "We Need to Talk" letter. And he's like, this could derail
I
everything.
love when girls write notes and they say we got to talk. Someone's gonna
Um,
break up with him after third period in front of the water fountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one time in middle school, I started dating a guy at the beginning of the day and dumped him by lunch.
Yo,
It's pretty good.
that's pretty impressive. He just got boring, right?
I don't know.
3 hours is a lot. I
I
mean,
think somebody
that's
got into my head. I think someone got into my head and was like, "This is just not what you want for your life." And I was like, "You're right."
for your life. You're like literally 12. They're like, no, this has to end in the next 2 hours. You
And
just
I
like
was like,
it's
"You're
all
so right.
downhill.
You're so right." And I was like, "I think we should break up." Uh, So funny. I remember that. That
Incredible,
was
incredible.
hilarious. Anyway, so here's some I don't know, gossip, I guess, speculation.
Hot goss. Let's hear it.
Yeah, hot goss. There is a theory. Who gave the theory? They want us to think Daisy was chosen first, but why? So I guess okay, this is these are like quoted social media posts, and I'm not even totally sure on exactly the source, but the site is like some weird shitty. Sorry, some generic site called WeGotThisCovered.com, whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, anyway, but they said, okay, in tonight's episode, it looks like Daisy got the first rose after hometowns, but that's actually not true. This is a theory. I don't know. We see Daisy walk up. It pans to Kelsey. She's looking concerned. When Kelsey's the one that got the second rose, Daisy has nothing in her hands because Daisy didn't have a rose at that time because Kelsey is actually the one that got the first rose. Makes you wonder,
Hmm.
why do they want us to think otherwise?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah, anyway.
Well, prediction for next week. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it's a coin flip between Daisy and Kelsey. I think it could go either way. I don't have any confidence in a choice right now. I don't think it's going to be Rachel, which means I'm choosing Rachel to win it all.
Wow. Okay,
I've
okay.
given up. I've given up. Like this is what it has to be because I have denied Rachel for weeks. Weeks, Sammy.
Yeah.
It's time for me to embrace Rachel.
What if I was the one that said, I think Rachel's going home this week?
I would like you to say that because then I'll get really mad when she does. And the
Yeah,
true lesson all along was listen to Sammy.
yeah, the thing that I think is weird, the only thing, I mean, Rachel talks about being really hurt. I feel like she's like fully in though. The person who's been the slowest who's left is Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey's also like totally on board. Like if Kelsey came out and was like, I don't know, that would throw a wrench in everything. That
Yeah.
would be very confusing. So, okay, so I'm going to make the most controversial pick I possibly could and say there's something going on with Kelsey, that the We Need to Talk is a Kelsey letter.
Okay. We need to
I
talk
don't
as a
know.
Kelsey.
That's a wild speculation. I don't think that's true. But what if it was? Because a lot of my weird predictions have been right this season for the first time ever, probably. So I'm just gonna go with my gut and say that would be the most shocking thing. Um, we know something weird happens at the end. And I still think she's the front runner for Joey in his mind. She's not my front runner, but
Mm-hmm.
that would just be, I don't know. That's just a wild guess. That's all I'm going to say. And maybe Rachel will win it all. That would make me so happy,
Yeah.
but we'll see. All right. Well, next time you'll hear me not in a cave. Well, maybe, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. We'll see.
We don't know.
But until then, everyone, if you're on spring break right now, spring break responsibly. If you're on it next week, same goes then. And if we should hear from you before Pie Day, but if not, make sure you enjoy some pie on March 14th and Super Mario Day, March 10th. Very important days.
Absolutely. And when you're playing Super Mario and eating pie and celebrating St. Patrick's Day, whatever you do, don't do needle drugs.
Ramadan's coming up too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well,
But
shit.
you should fast, from needle drugs as well.
Yeah. Also, it's Women's History Month. Why didn't you mention it, Sammy? Why do you hate women?
I obviously hate women.
Oh, the woman hater is logged on. It's Sammy.
Oh my God.